you very much for joining us again. And I'm really pleased to have with me a good friend of mine, Francois Martin, who, as many of you know, has been in the industry for many years, nearly as long as I, something like 30 years, I believe, isn't it, Francois?
Almost there.
Yes, almost there. So 30 years of working across a group of different industries, promoting new and transformational products and solutions. And now, of course, he's at Bobst and working very hard at Bobst as their senior marketing manager, who's really spinning out there, doing lots of interesting things and sharing a lot of information about Bobst at the moment, particularly interested in the relationship between Bobst and the brands and the converters. So today we have an opportunity to hear a little bit more the Bobst vision for packaging industry. So I'm going to pass this over to you, Francois, and let you share a few of your thoughts and some slides to the audience. Thank you.
So thank you, Fraser, for the introduction. So let me share the vision that we have. And this is something relatively recent that we believe is worth to look at. So the packaging industry has been around for many years, but right now we see a lot of disruption. I just took some brand owners' recent quotes. Some very large brands like AB InBev, they just say, okay, all of a sudden, we have been disrupted by smaller brands and new business models. Then you have companies like Nestle, they say, okay, right now, we are in the middle of a global recession and people are very value conscious. Victoria's Secret, I mean, permanent closing of 250 stores in the US and Canada. Flipkart in China, 100% recycled plastic by March 2021, so almost next week. Starbucks, plastic straws are banned in 2020. And Zara closing 1,200 stores worldwide. So these are just few examples of what's going on. This is real and serious across the globe. And this is directly impacting all of us. At the same time, we should not look at the world in a dramatic manner. We have challenges ahead, but this is a great opportunity to focus on what matters the most. And if we look to our clients, brand owners and converters, the brand owners, they are the ones who are ultimately putting money on the table to buy packaging, to produce their goods. And then, of course, they have a lot of competition. As AB InBev said, competition, small companies, market disruption, online e-commerce, net, shorter time to market, smaller lot size, color consistency is very critical, packaging has to protect the goods properly. They can't pay for more expensive packaging at the same time. So brand owners, we know pretty much what they want. If you want to summarize in 2 words, it is about agility and sustainability without costing more. If we look now at the ones producing packaging, and this is the Bobst clients, they are facing the pressure from the brand owners. Among themselves, they are obviously in competition, but it is less dramatic. Packaging doesn't disappear, unlike commercial printing. And what they are looking at now, it is agility. They also need to produce whatever is required timely, more and more short runs. They need obviously to deliver quality, and quality is very important because if you don't deliver quality, packers are facing issues, retailers are facing issues, consumers are facing issues. And all of these generate a lot of waste. So quality is extremely important in packaging. Of course, they need to control what they do. They need to remain profitable, and they need to tackle the sustainability issues, specifically not generating waste and generating what we call zero-fault packaging, and finally, moving away from plastic as much as possible. So this is the printers and converters world. Now, if we look at the packaging value chain, from the brand owners having their own strategy and the designer creating specific designs, then you have pre-press, workflow, suppliers of substrate, tooling, ink, then the converting partners, the packers, the retailers, some of them online, and the consumers. And all of that is very much fragmented, step after steps, and it's not very agile. And that has been working very well for the last 50 years, but this is about time to change it. Why? Because it's a very long journey, very complicated. In average, it takes between 12 to 18 months for a global brand to roll out a new product across the globe. 12 to 18 months. So that may sound a lot to some of you, but this is the reality. And from the packaging strategy to having the goods produced and properly packed and properly distributed in the hands of the consumers, this is what it is. So what we need to do is to challenge a little bit that journey. And if we look at the needs of all the stakeholders involved, if you ask them all, you Mr. in workflow, you Mr. Packer, you Mr. Printer, you Mr. Converter, and consumers, what do you want? You want quality, you want efficiency, you want to be in control of what's going on. Same for the consumers, they want to know what's in the box, where is it come from. You want as much as sustainability as possible, and then you want proximity. You want to be close to what's going on. So consumers want to be close to the brands want to be close to the consumers, converters want to be close to their equipment suppliers. So proximity is also important. And then humanity overall. So to do all of that, we are building a strategy that will increase the connectivity of the machines. First, you need to connect. Then you need to digitalize whatever can be digitalized, because the digitalization, it is like water. You can't stop it. The world where we are is becoming more and more digital, more and more connected. You like it or not, that's a separated debate. Then once you have connected and digitalized, you can automate. And why do we automate? To avoid mistakes and errors. And then last, we need to do all of this to be more sustainable. Sustainability, it is not optional anymore. 10, 15 years ago, I remember well, we had discussions on sustainability, but it was more nice to have. These days, it is fundamental. So our vision is really based on these four cornerstones: connectivity, automation, digitalization, sustainability. And to orchestrate all of these, we need to look at what it does. So connectivity, what does it mean? It means that tooling and the machines are connected. The data are transmitted along the line using cloud-based platforms. So if you make a little change on your design, then automatically the machines in the steps further, because they are connected, they will know that something changed. The digitalization, it is basically the entire workflow. We don't want to exchange emails with attached PDF. We want all to share the same files. And again, if you change within the ESCO platform, if you change something, then automatically the artwork and then the machines will know that something changed, because they will receive digital information. And not only for printing, but also for converting. And we want to digitalize all these conventional processes where some of them are still pen on paper based. And we want to do that to be just more efficient and more agile. We obviously want to automate as much as possible to make sure that key operations are performed by smart system checking the quality. And by doing that, you have less errors, less waste, and better quality. And we want to do that independent of the press operators as much as possible for everything that can be automated. And last, I mentioned it before, sustainability has to be inherent to packaging. We need to deliver the right packages, the right quality without generating waste. And to be very clear on that, packaging is perceived as generating waste. But packaging is really protecting the goods. And this is important in e-commerce. This is important on products on the shelves. And what is generating waste? It is when you produce the wrong boxes with the wrong quality, and then half of them are thrown away during the packing process, or they are thrown away by the retailers because they are damaged on the shelf, or the goods are not protected properly when they arrive in the consumer's mailbox in e-commerce. So not protecting the goods right is generating a lot of waste. And that's what we want to fix. And this is why we talk a lot about zero-fault packaging within Bobst. And obviously, we need to move away as much as possible from plastic. So to orchestrate all of this, we need software capabilities. We need to connect machines. We need to orchestrate the entire workflow. And we do that with something that we call Bobst Connect. It's an open architecture platform. It is very recent, and it is really integrating all the key components on what makes packaging production effective. So it will enable an efficient data flow between the physical equipment and the digital solutions. And it's an open architecture where you don't need to only own Bobst equipment. You can do it with whatever you have within your production line. So Bobst Connect is really going to connect the stakeholders on the top and the machines. And for any industries, labels, flexible packaging, folding carton, and corrugated. So Bobst Connect is really critical. We're not going to the details, but it is clearly addressing pre-press for an efficient job preparation. It is addressing the production throughout all the necessary steps, including quality control. It will optimize all the processes and provide recommendations on what you need to change to get even better. Of course, it will help you to maintain your production line. And then finally, it will give you access to all the services you need to maintain your production at the maximum production quality and performance. So having said that, what we want really to do is to help shaping the future of the packaging world to deliver the best goods. Now you can ask yourself, okay, Francois, very nice, all of this, but have you already started something? And I want just now to show you a few examples. If you look at our vision, we have it, but we also have solutions today that are addressing the vision. Like if you look at connectivity, we just introduced, it was supposed to be launched at DOPA, but it is now real and available. We have something called tooling. So what is it? You have intelligence on the tools you are creating. And then once you load the tools in your die cutter, it will automatically adjust the machine to what has to be done. And by doing that, you save a lot of time. And this is addressing the challenge of agility. This is just an example. If we look at automation for pouch production in flexible packaging, we have the Master CI fully automated with robots performing the most important and the most sensitive tasks. If we look at the label industry, we have digitalized the entire production all in one, all in line. From the substrate to the final labels that you can stick to the goods, everything is digitalized, including digital printing for whatever has to be printed in a digital way. So the Master DM5 is the best example of our vision. And then last, in the corrugated industry, we have the Flexo Folder Gluer, the so-called FFG. We have a specific machine that is highly connected and can adjust to changing demand for e-commerce type of boxes, for example, and other type of boxes. So these examples are just to point out that the vision is becoming a reality. And of course, not everything will be realized in the next few months and even a few years. My view is that all of these requires fundamental changes, including human skills within the converters, and it's a journey that will take between 5 to 10 years to be fully deployed, but it will happen. The big challenge it is that we need to change our mind, and the world as we have created it is the process of our thinking. So we need to change the way we think. And we want to welcome all of you to this new reality. So that's what I was willing to share. Of course, the entire Bobst organization is available to answer questions if you have, and that for any industries: labels, flexible packaging, folding carton, and corrugated. So thanks for your attention.
Francois, thank you very much. If you just, that's fantastic. I want to ask you a few questions. I mean, what's so fundamentally interesting about that presentation is that Bobst really has a vision that's a sort of a big picture vision for the industry. And you've really set that picture up that's about interconnecting all the parts of the industry. So it's not just that you're thinking about your technology, you're thinking about the whole process, the paths around it, the supply chain around it. I just wondered, as you were talking, you know, are there competitors to you, and do they see things in the same way as you, or do you really think that you are groundbreaking in this respect?
No, we have competitors, but what makes Bobst unique is two things. First of all, we are just doing packaging. That's one. And we have 130 years of experience. And second, we have end-to-end solutions and not only a part of it. So some of our competitors are doing great solutions in printing. Others are doing great solutions in die cutting. Others in folding gluing. But if you look at the entire supply chain, from substrate processing, printing, cutting, embellishment, folding gluing, we are the only one having the end-to-end components.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference, because it's not because you are printing super fast that suddenly the entire process is fast. So we need to make sure that all the steps are done properly. So that makes Bobst a little bit unique.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. One of the things that seems to have come out of the COVID crisis, but probably was important anyway, is this sense of localized production and control of your supply chain and kind of managing the whole process and not being caught out by things going on in different parts of the world. Do you see that the Bobst story is very much about that? And is it reflecting that need for a much more localized production process, interconnected production process?
So if you look at packaging, the reality is that packaging, with maybe the exception of labels, they are not really moving across the globe. So packaging is very local. So we have clients in Egypt, in China, in Nigeria, in Germany, in North America, in Canada, in Chile, in everywhere in the world, because the goods have to be packed where they are produced.
Sure.
But you're right that a lot of brand owners, small and big, are all looking at their supply chain, making sure that they are not depending on one single sourcing, and specifically making sure that they have a single sourcing within their own country. So this is something that was already on the agenda of brand owners, but with COVID, a little bit more. But in packaging, we see now more demand for, let's say, a little bit smaller machines, but able to do the everything from the substrate to the final boxes or the final pouches, locally to serve the local market. Typically, we often say that within 300-400 kilometers, 300 miles, this is where things are really happening.
Yeah. The other thing that I've done a few interviews on it for the packaging day, in fact, for the summit, and there's been quite a lot of conversation around the ability for producers to deliver short runs, quite short run production, and that enables them to respond to, you know, the big trends that are occurring. I mean, clearly trends are are for immediacy and, you know, the kind of delivered less from a shop, more from a delivery system. How did Bobst fit into that?
So short runs, we know they are important. So we are looking at them through different means. Like I mentioned tooling in my presentation. So to do the setup of the die cutters, we have now automated it. So it means that in 15 minutes, you can set up your entire die cutter, which is a dramatic reduction to what it was before.
Sure.
We are looking at digital printing in labels. We have solutions today. We have a fully digitalized label press that can also take care of any kind of jobs. And we claim from 1 label to 1 million on the same machine. We are looking at new digital laser cutting type of solutions. They are not yet available, but we are working on them because we know that for very short runs, digital laser cutting can make sense. And then in the corrugated industry,
yep.
We are also looking at solutions. But each time we are looking at solutions, we are very cautious because we need to deliver quality, the right productivity, and the right economics.
Yep.
And we also need to be clear, what is it a short run? Because if it is to make 10 boxes, today you have solutions, they do exist.
Yep.
But when you are talking about 3,000-4,000 boxes,
yep.
For some customers, it would be a long run, but for many, it would be a short run. It depends. But no one is willing to pay more, even if it is a short run. So we know that short runs are very sensitive. In the label industry, it has been well addressed through digital printing. And today, 30% of the label production is digital. But in the other industries, it's still not there. And why? Because the economics, the productivity, and the quality elements are not all where they should be.
Yeah. As we kind of come to the end of the presentation, I just wonder whether there's anything, you know, the subject matter here really is the Bobst vision for the packaging industry. And you've covered it really well, and Bobst are very clear about their vision. Is there any one thing, you know, if we're thinking 5 years' time, where do you think that we will be? What will packaging production look like? And how does it fit with Bobst?
So I think that your question is a little bit linked to what we discussed before. In 5 years down the road, I believe we will have much more integration of the entire production process from the substrate to the final box, all in one, all in line, and to have very integrated machines, fairly easy to operate, fully digitalized, more integrated, and this type of machines will be installed wherever they are required. So that's pretty much my view on where we go. We are going to move away from the super big machines, super productive, to a little bit like what did happen in the automotive industry. When I was younger, when you wanted to have all the options, you had to go for the Mercedes S-Class. Now you can buy your A-Class, you have everything. All the options are in the A-Class. And I think that the same is happening, and sorry for that kind of analogy, but the same is happening in the packaging industry. We will see smaller machines, but more integrated.
Yeah,
that's my view.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, Francois, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the presentation. I really appreciate that. Very clear, very straightforward understanding of where Bobst are, your vision. So thank you to you.